My experience is with people who are probably operating at about 51% of their capacity. You can think about this yourselves. I often ask undergraduates how many hours a day they waste or how many hours a week they waste. The classic answer is something like 4 to 6 hours a day. Inefficient studying, watching things on YouTube that not only do you not want to watch but don't even care about, and that make you feel horrible after you're done. This probably accounts for 4 hours right there. You think? Well, that's 20 to 25 hours a week. That's 100 hours a month. That's 2.5 full work weeks or half a year of work weeks per year. If your time is worth $20 an hour, which is a radical underestimate, it's probably more like 50. Then if you are wasting 20 hours a week, you are wasting $50,000 a year. And you are doing that right now. For a young person, wasting $50,000 a year is a way bigger catastrophe than it would be for me to waste it because I'm not going to last nearly as long. So if your life is not everything it could be, you could ask yourself, what would happen if you just stopped wasting the opportunities in front of you? You would be, who knows, 10 times more efficient, 20 times more efficient. That's the Pareto distribution. You have no idea how efficient people get. It's completely off the charts. The best thing you can do is teach people to write because there's no difference between that and thinking. One of the things that blows me away about universities is that no one ever tells students why they should write something. It's like, well, you have to do this assignment. Well, why are you writing? Well, you need the grade. It's like, no, you need to learn to think because thinking makes you act effectively in the world. Thinking makes you win the battles you undertake, and those could be battles for good things. If you can think and speak and write, you're absolutely deadly. Nothing can get in your way. That's why you learn to write. It's the most powerful weapon you can possibly provide someone with. I know lots of people who've been staggeringly successful, and I have watched them throughout my life. You don't want to have an argument with them. They'll just slash you into pieces. It's not in a malevolent way. It's like, if you are going to make your point and they are going to make theirs, you better have your points organized, or you are going to look like an absolute idiot. You are not going to get anywhere. If you can formulate your arguments coherently, make a presentation, speak to people, lay out a proposal. People give you money, they give you opportunities, you have influence. Decided, make a schedule and stick to it. What's the rule with the schedule? It's not a bloody prison. That's the first thing people do wrong. They say, well, I don't like to follow a schedule. It's like, well, what kind of schedule are you setting up? I have to do this, then I have to do this, then I have to do this. And then I just go play video games because who wants to do all these things I have to do? Wrong. Set the schedule up so that you have the day you want. That's the trick. Okay, I have got tomorrow. If I was going to set it up so it was the best possible day I could have, practically speaking, what would it look like? Well, then you schedule that. There's a bit of responsibility that's going to go along with that, because if you have any sense, one of the things you will insist upon is that at the end of the day, you are not in worse shape than you were at the beginning of the day, because that's a stupid day. If you have a bunch of those in a row, you dig yourself a hole and then bury yourself in it. That's just not a good strategy. It's a bad strategy. So maybe 20% of your day has to be responsibility and obligation, or maybe it's more than that depending on how far behind you are. Even then you can ask yourself, okay, I have got these responsibilities. I have to schedule the things in. What's the right ratio of responsibility to reward? You can ask yourself that just like you would negotiate with someone who was working for you. Okay, you have got to work tomorrow. What are you going to do for me that makes it likely I will work for you? So maybe you do an hour of responsibility and then play a video game for 15 minutes. I don't know, whatever turns your crank, but you have to negotiate with yourself and not tyrannize yourself like you are negotiating with someone you care for, who you would like to be productive and have a good life. That's how you make the schedule. Then you look at the day and think, if I had that day, that'd be good. You are useless and horrible, so you will probably only hit it with about 70% accuracy, but that beats the hell out of zero. If you hit it even with 50% accuracy, aim for 51% the next week, or 50.5% for God's sake, because you are going to hit that position where things start to loop back positively and spiral you upward. Well, if we all got our act together collectively and stop making things worse, because that's another thing people do all the time. Not only do they not do what they should to make things better, they actively attempt to make things worse because they are spiteful or resentful or arrogant or deceitful or homicidal or genocidal or all of those things bundled together in an absolutely pathological package. If people stopped really trying just to make things worse, we'd have no idea how much better they would get just because of that. So there's this weird dynamic that's part of the existential system of ideas between human vulnerability and social judgment, both of which are major causes of suffering, and the failure of individuals to adopt the responsibility that they know they should adopt. It is not merely that your fate depends on whether or not you get your act together and to what degree you decide that you are going to live out your own genuine being. It is not only your fate, it's the fate of everyone you are networked with. You might think, well, there are 7 billion people in the world. We are going to peak at about 9 billion, by the way, and then it will decline rapidly. But 7 billion people in the world. Who are you? You are just one little dust mote among that 7 billion. So it really doesn't matter what you do or don't do. But that's simply not the case. It's the wrong model. You are at the center of a network. You are a node in a network. Of course, that's even more true now that we have social media. You will know 1,000 people at least over the course of your life, and they'll know 1,000 people each. That puts you one person away from a million and two persons away from a billion. That's how you're connected. And the things you do are like dropping a stone in a pond. The ripples move outward, and they affect things in ways that you can't fully comprehend. It means that the things you do and don't do are far more important than you think. So if you act that way, the terror of realizing that is that it actually starts to matter what you do. You might say, well, that's better than living a meaningless existence. It's better for it to matter. But if you really ask yourself, would you be so sure if you had the choice? I can live with no responsibility whatsoever, and the price I pay is that nothing matters. Or I can reverse it. Everything matters, but I have to take the responsibility that's associated with that. It's not so obvious to me that people would take the meaningful path. Nihilists suffer dreadfully because there's no meaning in their life and they still suffer. Yeah, but the advantage is they have no responsibility. So that's the payoff. I actually think that's the motivation. Well, I can't help being nihilistic. All my belief systems have collapsed. It's like, yeah, maybe you have just allowed them to collapse because it's a lot easier than acting them out. The price you pay is some meaningless suffering, but you can always whine about that and people will feel sorry for you. You have the option of taking the pathway of the martyr, so that's a pretty good deal. All things considered, especially when the alternative is to bear your burden properly and live forthrightly in the world. What Solzhenitsyn figured out, and so many people in the 20th century, it's not just him, even though he's the best example, is that if you live a pathological life, you pathologize your society. If enough people do that, then it's hell. Really, really. You can read the Gulag Archipelago if you have the fortitude to do that, and you will see exactly what hell is like. Then you can decide if that's a place you would like to visit. Or even more importantly, if it's a place you would like to visit and take all your family and friends. That's what happened in the 20th century. No one can live without a routine. If you don't have a routine, I would recommend that you get one going because you cannot be mentally healthy without a routine. You need to pick a time to get up, whatever time you want, but pick one and stick to it. Otherwise, you dysregulate your circadian rhythms and they regulate your mood. Plan a life you'd like to have, and you do that partly by referring to social norms. That's more or less rescuing your father from the belly of the whale. But the other way you do that is by having a little conversation with yourself, as if you don't really know who you are because you know what you are. You won't do what you are told. You won't do what you tell yourself to do. You must have noticed that. It's like you are a bad employee and a worse boss. Both of those work. You don't know what you want to do. And then when you tell yourself what to do, you don't do it anyways. You should fire yourself and find someone else to be. But my point is that you have to understand that you are not your own servant, so to speak. You are someone that you have to negotiate with, and you are someone that you want to present the opportunity of having a good life to. That's hard for people because they don't like themselves very much. They're always cracking the whip and then procrastinating, cracking the whip and then procrastinating. It's so boring and such a pathetic way of spending your time. I think what you have to do, and this is part of humility, is look around you within your sphere of influence, like the direct sphere of influence, and fix the things that announce themselves as in need of repair. One of the main reasons people don't get what they want is because they don't actually figure out what it is. The probability that you are going to get what would be good for you. Let's say that would even be better than what you want, because you might be wrong about what you want easily. But maybe you could get what would really be good for you. Why don't you? Because you don't try. You don't think, okay, here's what I would like if I could have it. And I don't mean in a way that manipulates the world to force it to deliver you goods for status or something like that. That is not what I mean. I mean something like, imagine that you were taking care of yourself like you were someone you actually cared for. Then you thought, okay, I'm caring for this person. I would like things to go as well for them as possible. What would their life have to be like in order for that to be the case? People don't do that. They don't sit down and think, all right, let's figure it out. You have got a life. It's hard, obviously. In 3 years, you can have what you need. You have got to be careful about it. You can't have everything. You can have what would be good for you, but you have to figure out what it is, and then you have to aim at it. My experience with people has been if they figure out what it is that would be good for them and then they aim at it, then they get it. It's strange because it's not quite that simple. You may formulate an idea about what would be good for you, and then you take 10 steps towards that and find out that your formulation was a bit off. So you have to reformulate your goal. You are kind of going like this as you move towards the goal. But a huge part of the reason people fail is that they don't ever set up the criteria for success. Success is a very narrow line, and the probability that you are going to stumble on it randomly is 0. If you actually want something, you can have it. Now the question then would be, what do you mean by actually want? And the answer is that you reorient your life in every possible way to make the probability that that will occur as certain as possible. That's a sacrificial idea, right? You don't get everything, obviously, but maybe you can have what you need, and maybe all you have to do to get it is ask. But asking is not a whim or today's wish. You have to be deadly serious about it. You have to think, okay, I'm taking stock of myself, and if I was going to live properly in the world and set myself up such that being would justify itself in my estimation, and I don't mean as a harsh judge, exactly what is it that I would aim at? Sit on your bed one day and ask yourself, what remarkably stupid things am I doing on a regular basis to absolutely screw up my life? If you actually ask that question. But you have to want to know the answer, right? Because that's what asking the question means. It doesn't mean just mouthing the words. It means you have to decide that you want to know. You will figure that out so fast it'll make your hair curl. Picture yourself at the end of your life looking back on all the years you've lived. What will you see? Will you see a life filled with purpose, love, and meaning? Or will you see a life wasted on trivial pursuits, needless worries, and empty distractions? The choice is yours right here, right now. You have the power to shape your life to make it extraordinary. But first, you must recognize the value of your time and stop wasting it on bullshit. Now, I know that's a strong word, but sometimes we need strong words to wake us up from our slumber, to shake us out of our complacency, to make us realize that life is too short and too precious to waste. So what do I mean by bullshit? I'm talking about all the things that drain your energy, steal your joy, and keep you from living your best life. The unnecessary drama, the pointless arguments, the endless scroll through social media, the mindless consumption of junk content, the obsession with things that won't matter in a year, let alone at the end of your life. These are the thieves of time, and they are robbing you blind. You have the power to stop them. You have the ability to reclaim your time, your energy, and your life. And it starts with a simple decision, to stop wasting your time. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I don't waste my time. I'm always busy. Well, being busy is not the same as being productive. Being busy is not the same as living a meaningful life. In fact, busyness can be one of the most insidious forms of time wasting. We fill our days with activity, with noise, with constant motion, thinking that this makes us important or valuable. But often it's just a way to avoid the things that really matter. The quiet moments of reflection, the deep connections with loved ones, the pursuit of our true passions and purpose. So I challenge you today to take a hard look at how you're spending your time. Are you investing it in things that truly matter, or are you frittering it away on bullshit? Let's break this down into practical steps. First, we need to identify the time wasters in our lives. These can be external, like mindless TV shows or gossip, or internal, like self-doubt or procrastination. Once we have identified these time wasters, we need to make a conscious decision to eliminate them from our lives. This isn't always easy. We are creatures of habit, and some of these habits might be deeply ingrained. But remember, you have the power to change. You have the power to choose differently. Now, I'm not saying you need to become some kind of productivity machine, working every minute of every day. That's not what life is about. We need rest, we need relaxation, we need fun. But there's a difference between purposeful relaxation and mindless time wasting. When you choose to relax, do it fully. Be present in the moment. Enjoy it without guilt. But when it's time to work, to create, to pursue your dreams, give it your all. Don't let the bullshit creep in and steal your focus. One of the biggest time wasters in our modern world is the constant need for distraction. We have become addicted to stimulation, to novelty, to the endless stream of information at our fingertips. But this addiction comes at a cost. It robs us of our ability to focus, to think deeply, to be truly present in our lives. So I challenge you to embrace silence, to cultivate stillness in your life. Turn off the TV, Put down your phone, step away from your computer. Give yourself the gift of undistracted time. You might be surprised at what emerges when you quiet the noise of the world. Another major time waster is worry. How many hours have you spent fretting about things that never happen? How much mental energy have you wasted on scenarios that only existed in your imagination? Worry is a misuse of your imagination. Instead of using your creative power to envision worst-case scenarios, use it to imagine the life you want to create. Use it to solve real problems, not imaginary ones. Remember, my friends, the present moment is all we really have. The past is gone, the future is not yet here. So why waste the precious present worrying about things we can't control? Instead, focus on what you can control. Your actions, your attitudes, your responses to the world around you, this is where your power lies. This is where you can make a real difference in your life and in the lives of others. Comparison. In this age of social media, it's all too easy to fall into the trap of comparing our lives to others. We see carefully curated highlight reels of other people's lives and think we are falling short. Everyone's journey is unique. Your path is your own. Wasting time comparing yourself to others is not only futile, it's harmful. It robs you of the joy of your own journey, of your own growth and progress. Instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Are you growing? Are you learning? Are you becoming a better version of yourself? These are the questions that matter. Another major time waster is holding on to grudges and resentments. How much of your precious energy are you wasting on anger towards others, on replaying past hurts and injustices? Forgiveness is not about condoning what happened to you. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of carrying that anger. It's about reclaiming your time and energy for more positive pursuits. Remember, forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It's a way of saying, I refuse to let this person or this situation control my life any longer. It's a powerful act of self-love and self-respect. One of the biggest time wasters of all, living someone else's life. How many of us are pursuing goals or careers or lifestyles that don't truly align with our values and passions? How many of us are living up to other people's expectations instead of our own? This is the ultimate waste of time, because at the end of your life, you won't be answering to your parents or your teachers or society at large. You will be answering to yourself. You will be looking back on your life and asking, did I live authentically? Did I honor my true self? The courage to live your own life, to pursue your own dreams, not someone else's idea of success, to listen to that still small voice inside you that knows what you truly want and need. This doesn't mean being selfish or disregarding others. On the contrary, when you live authentically, you have more to give to others. You become a source of inspiration, a light in the world. Now, some of you might be thinking, but I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't know my purpose. And that's okay. Finding your purpose isn't always a lightning bolt moment. Sometimes it's a gradual process of exploration and self-discovery. The key is to start. Start trying new things. Start exploring your interests. Start paying attention to what lights you up, what makes you lose track of time. These are clues to your purpose. And remember, your purpose doesn't have to be some grand, world-changing mission. It can be as simple as bringing more kindness into the world, or creating beauty through your art, or being a loving parent or friend. The size of your purpose doesn't matter. What matters is that it's authentic to you. Another major time waster is perfectionism. How many projects have you abandoned because they weren't perfect? How many opportunities have you missed because you were waiting for the perfect moment? Perfectionism is a thief of time and joy. It keeps us stuck, paralyzed by the fear of not measuring up to some impossible standard. But here's the truth, done has been perfect. Progress is better than perfection. To take action even when you are not sure, even when you might fail. Because in that action, in that willingness to be imperfect, lies growth and learning and real progress. Like saying yes to things you don't really want to do. How much of your time and energy is spent on obligations you've taken on out of a sense of guilt or a fear of disappointing others? Your time is your most precious resource. When you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. So make sure you are saying yes to the things that truly matter to you. This might mean learning to say no more often. It might mean disappointing some people. But remember, you are not responsible for other people's feelings or expectations. You are responsible for living your own life with integrity and purpose. Another major time waster is living in the past or the future instead of the present. How much time do you spend rehashing past events or worrying about future ones? This robs you of the only moment you can actually live in, the present. The past is gone, my friends. You can learn from it, but you can't change it. The future hasn't happened yet. You can plan for it, but you can't control it. The only moment you have any real power over is this one, right here, right now. So I challenge you to practice presence, to fully inhabit each moment of your life, to bring your full attention to whatever you're doing, whether it's working on a project, having a conversation with a loved one, or simply enjoying a beautiful sunset. This kind of presence, this full engagement with life, is the antidote to wasting time. When you are fully present, you are not wasting time. You are fully living it. Negative self-talk. How much of your mental energy do you waste on criticizing yourself, doubting yourself, putting yourself down? This negative self-talk is not only a waste of time, it's actively harmful. It erodes your confidence, saps your motivation, and keeps you stuck in patterns of self-sabotage. So I challenge you to become aware of your inner dialogue. When you catch yourself in negative self-talk, pause, take a deep breath, and then consciously choose a more supportive, encouraging thought. Remember, you are not your thoughts. You have the power to choose which thoughts you give attention to. So choose thoughts that empower you, that inspire you, that move you forward. Another major time waster is trying to control things that are outside of your control. How much energy do you waste trying to change other people or circumstances that are beyond your influence? The truth is, the only thing you have real control over is yourself, your thoughts, your actions, your responses to the world around you. Everything else is outside your control. Focus your energy on what you can control, on becoming the best version of yourself, on responding to life's challenges with grace and resilience. This is where your true power lies. One of the most pervasive time wasters in our modern world. Multitasking. We have been sold the idea that doing multiple things at once makes us more productive. But research has shown time and time again that this simply isn't true. Multitasking doesn't make us more efficient. It makes us less focused, more stressed, and more prone to mistakes. It fragments our attention and prevents us from entering the state of deep focus where our best work happens. To give your full attention to one task at a time, you will not only be more productive, but you will also feel less stressed and more satisfied with your work. Another major time waster is surrounding yourself with negative people. You know the type, the chronic complainers, the energy vampires, the people who always see the glass as half empty. These people not only waste your time with their negativity, they can also drag you down to their level. They can make you lose sight of your own dreams and possibility. So I challenge you to be selective about the company you keep. Surround yourself with positive, supportive people who inspire you to be your best self, people who encourage your dreams instead of dismissing them. This doesn't mean cutting everyone negative out of your life. Sometimes the negative people are family members or coworkers we can't avoid, but we can limit our exposure to their negativity and consciously choose not to let it affect us. How many of us say yes to every request, every invitation, every opportunity that comes our way? We fill our calendars to the brim, thinking that being busy equals being productive or successful. But this kind of overcommitment is a recipe for burnout. It leaves us no time for rest, for reflection, for the kind of deep work that really moves us forward in life. Be more selective with your commitments, to leave space in your life for spontaneity, for creativity, for the unexpected opportunities that can only arise when we are not overscheduled. Remember, saying no to one thing means saying yes to something else. When you say no to that extra commitment, you are saying yes to more time for yourself, for your family, for your true priorities. Another major time waster is procrastination. How often do we put off important tasks, only to find ourselves scrambling at the last minute? How much stress do we create for ourselves by delaying what we know we need to do? Procrastination is often rooted in fear of failure, fear of imperfection, fear of the unknown. But by putting things off, we are not avoiding these fears, we are magnifying them. Face your task head on. Break them down into smaller, manageable steps if they seem overwhelming, and then take action, even if it's just a small step. Remember, progress, not perfection, is the goal. Living on autopilot. How many of us go through our days on automatic, not really thinking about our choices, our habits, our routines? This kind of mindless living is a waste of our precious time on earth. It robs us of the richness of experience, of the opportunity for growth and change. So I challenge you to wake up to your life, to question your habits and routines. Are they serving you? Are they moving you closer to your goals and dreams? If not, have the courage to change them. Another major time waster is waiting for the right time to pursue your dreams. How often do we put off our goals, thinking that someday, when the conditions are perfect, we'll finally take action? There's no perfect time. There will always be challenges, always be reasons to wait. The right time is now. So I challenge you to start where you are, with what you have. Take that first step towards your dreams, no matter how small it might seem, because a small step in the right direction is infinitely better than no step at all. One of the most insidious time wasters of all, fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of change, fear of the unknown. How much of our lives do we waste paralyzed by these fears? But here's the thing about finding that we are on the right track. It's a sign that we are pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, that we are growing and evolving. But I challenge you to embrace your fears, to see them not as stop signs, but as signposts pointing towards your growth and evolution. When you feel fear, take it as a cue to lean in, to push forward, to embrace the challenge before you. Another major time waster is perfectionism. How often do we delay taking action because we are waiting for everything to be just right? How many projects remain unfinished because we are endlessly tweaking and adjusting, trying to make them perfect? Perfection is an illusion. It's a moving target that we can never quite reach, and in our pursuit of it, we waste precious time and energy. So I challenge you to embrace imperfection, to put your work out into the world, even if it's not perfect, to take action, even if you are not 100% ready, because it's in the doing, in the creating, in the taking action that we grow and improve. Comparing ourselves to others. In this age of social media, it's all too easy to fall into the comparison trap. We see the highlight reels of other people's lives and feel like we are falling short. But remember, comparison is the thief of joy. It robs us of the ability to appreciate our own unique journey, our own growth and progress. So I challenge you to focus on your own path, to measure your success not against others, but against your own goals and values, to celebrate your progress no matter how small it might seem.